Hello everyone. So today what we are going to do is uh, so this is with respect to Excel, how we can better use Excel for different analysis that we might have to do from time to time. You might get such requests. So see, for example, I have this two files here, right? So this is nothing but SharePoint URLs have been present in this. Okay, now this is the second file. Okay, so if you get this request to compare the files and get the matching sites, right? So what we can do is, so we have the Excel, we'll take this one. Okay, and let's take the other file that we have to match to. So this is what we have to match to. Okay, URL match. Okay, so basically we can use the option from within the Excel itself and do this. So conditional formatting, highlight and duplicate values. Okay, so this has not worked, right? Even though this have the same URLs, but it is not able to match those. So we have to do a pre-work with those files, is that this file has this / in it and this does not have, and pulling reports from different entities can have that some might have that ending / and some might not have. So first you have to make them identical for you to find that matching element. Okay, so how we will do this is, so I prepare this one which I'll be using for this whole demo. Three different things that we are going to do is, right? So first one is that at the end add the /, right? You can do that at the beginning as well or at the end as well, and it can be / or any other requirement that you might have. All right, so we have the requirement to add the / at the end of each cell. So we'll take this. The steps are Alt plus F1, right? VBA will open up, insert module, will enter the formula here, and then F5. F5 is for run. So let's go to our file. Let's select where we want to put this /. So this column is where we want to put the /, right? You can always do Shift Control and down arrow key, and it will go to the last column from that particular cell to the last cell. Shift Control down arrow key. Okay, now, and you can do that as well, but in that case the / will be added in this URL and dash match as well, right? So I will use this Shift Control and down arrow key. Now what was it? Alt F11 to open the VBA, Visual Basic for Application. Insert module, and this is a formula. Okay, so the formula is nothing but sub append to existing on right function. So we are appending on the right. So obviously if you have to end it at the end, you will add it at the right. Append is adding towards the right, right? This is the selection. That's why we have to make the selection in the Excel on which we are going to do these changes. If you are not going to make the selection, then only that column which was there, the changes will be in that. So for each in the selection, if c.Value is what the value is, then make the c.Value as the current value and add it. So you can have / or, as I said, anything else, right? So once you are done with this, this is the F5 or the run button. So we'll click on this and run. Okay, so see, as soon as I did that, what we got is the / is matched and it gave us the matching entity. Okay, now in this there can be a lot of more, and we don't know which one is matching, which one is not matching, right? So what we'll do here is we will just put a filter. Okay, filter by color, and if you want to go for the match ones, you go for the color, and if you want to see which are the non-matching ones, here you get all the non-matching ones which are extra, which is not present in both the files. So this is how you can make the file similar, right? You can add if something is missing for them to be at the beginning or at the end. You can do both ways, right? For the if you want to add it at the beginning, the only thing would be you will add it at the left side, and then the value will be / and the current value. That's it. At rest everything remains the same. So this is how you can add any name, symbol, whatever is there, make the two files identical, and then do the matching. All right. Okay, so in the matching, so this is the simple option that I've showed. So VBA, we saw Visual Basic for application, and the simple option of conditional formatting. If you get a lot of values, right? So I have the sample size and the files that I have are less. Okay, so in this case you will not face that error where the Excel is just stuck when you click on filter and you search for the matching items or the unmatched items. It will be stuck because 80,000 or more than 80,000 items are there, and then you are not able to filter through it. So what in that scenario, which will be faster and which will not get stuck and better way, is to use our other option of Power Query tool. Okay, with the option of from Excel itself. So first let me make this file. Let's add okay, so this is URL and this is site URL where we have added it. Since the first column also has selected, the / is added there as well. Now let's save this. This is saved. Okay, all right. So for the second option, what we'll do is let's open another Excel. Okay, go to data. Okay, and we will get the data from table or range. Sorry, my bad. Get data from file. Okay, so we have both the CSV. You can use Excel as well. So which one? Site URLs. So we are opening the file. This is how the file will look like. I've mentioned the steps which I will provide in the description. So data from Excel CSV load to, and the first file you only make connection to. You're just going to make connection to the first file. So we have that option, match, import. See, it's separating out this and this because the delimiter is : mention. I'll give space so that it comes in one, and we'll select the whole entire data set. We will select on load to, so that the first file we are only going to make the connection to. Okay, then we click on OK. So in the notepad, see the first simple option is been mentioned, right? I have already informed about at the beginning, at the end, if you want to add, and then simple matching. So this is the advanced matching. The first file we are going to load to and only make the connection to. The second file is, so now let's go to the second file. URL is our second file. Again, change the delimiter, entire data set. Okay, now in here you might find different options like edit, right? So after load you find edit option, right? And transform data. We have to go for transform data or edit. So in here we are going to select merge queries. Now we are going to select for the first connection that we made. So let me see, there is a previous connection as well coming in. This is the URL file. The first was the site URL, so we will site URL, and the URL is the correct one. So URL and site URL we are comparing. If you make the selection, you will see here the selection matches 17 of the 22 rows for the first column. See how fast it was. If you have 80,000 or more than 100,000 rows or column, sorry, right, this will be faster, and this will have inner only matching, right? The selection matches 17 out of the 22 from the first and 17 out of the 17 from the second. We'll click on OK. We don't need the columns that we don't need, we remove, and let's close and load, and we have our file. So this gives you only the matching entries, and this is how you can compare both the files and get the matching entries and remove the rest. So in essence, what I'm trying to do here is, if you have a large file, right, which have thousands of rows in there, right, so what you can do is, first you will make them identical by adding or whatever is missing between the two files at the end or at the beginning, and after that you, since there is lot of data in there, you will use the Power Query tool. So for adding you are using Visual Basic application, and for this matching purpose you are using Power Query tool. And in there the first file you make connection to, and the second file is where you do the transform data, match queries, match the two files column, and there itself you'll be able to see how many matching rows that it's able to find. Okay, and then you can just simply save your file, okay, wherever you want to save it. So I'll save it as an Excel, and we are done. Okay, so this is how you can have the files. Now there is something else that also I want to show in this itself, and if you see here, so this is done. This is how you make the files identical so that you can compare them, and then you have the compare option, the simple as well as the advanced, using the Power Query. Then there is one option, a split column as well. So I have a second file for this demonstration purpose. See, so this is a file which have been pulled, which gives result of various users. So in the script itself we can make those changes, but let me first show you what it is. So see, what the script has done is, it has provided all the entries within the same row. See that they are member of this test site 2 members, all this cloud user 1, cloud user 2, mail enabled, SG, all these 3 different email addresses, the 3 different users are member of this group, but it has been mentioned in the same. So if there are more than this hundreds or 200 users within the same row itself, that becomes problematic. So in the script itself we can make those changes, and I have a separate video in where we have permissions being pulled where it's mentioned in separate rows. But say for example you get this as an input and you have to process this. So how we are going to do this is the basic option that is there. So this is the one for this. So what we can do is we can go to our data, text to column, and in here you have the delimiter. Next you will select the delimiter. In our case it is a semicolon, right? And you can see that it is bifurcating 1, 2 and mail enabled as we wanted. Click on next and finish. But in here what the issue is coming, I'll show you. And if you click on OK, this is, so it will move it towards the right in the next column. All the 3 entries have been separated, but they have been moved into different. So if this is what you want, you can move them horizontally as well, right? It depends on the entry that you have. So if your requirement is to move them horizontally, they are just couple of users and you have nothing in the right, no other columns, or you can move those column into let me show you. So like this is what I can do. I can move it here, then select this data, text to column, delimiter, next, select the delimiter, semicolon, next, finish, right? So that way you have separate entries that have been created. Okay, now in my case I want them identically, like this test site 2 members for the first one, and then the second, and then the third, and similarly the sharepoint group or the permission level mentioning that. So I want it in that respect. So what we are going to do here is, so that first one is the basic option, and for is horizontally moving it, I actually want to move it vertically down with everything copied down to the column that has the multiple values. You move that column, okay, to the last entry. Okay, now let's select our entries, data from table or range. Okay, so this will open up the Power Query Editor tool again. In the advanced option we are currently, so we will select the column on which we want to move those entries. So all this I've mentioned in this advanced step here. Power Query tool from data, Power Query tool will open up, select the column, split column by delimiter, right? So let's select the column, split column by delimiter. The delimiter that is there in our case is a semicolon for each occurrence, and click on OK. So if you see, this has also done the same thing, that it has moved it into horizontal wise. So this is where we do our next step. So we select the column, the 3 columns, transform and unpivot column. So this way this has been moved into the next entry. You can see now test member 3 has 3 entries. This column we don't need, we will remove this, my bad. So let's remove just this column that we don't need, and there we have it. Okay, so let's keep, and this is our new entry. So as you can see from the last entry, this entry has separate all those three users: mail enabled SG, cloud user 2 and cloud user 1. All these are in separate rows with all the other entries values mentioned in there. Okay, so this is a way to do it. Now let me just quickly show you this as well. From Power Query, we are here, split column delimiter, semicolon, for each occurrence it's moved. Now say for example you have lot of users, 100 200 users were there in the single cell itself, which have been moved horizontally into 100 200. So instead of selecting those columns, what you will do is you will select the rest. That's why I've moved this towards the last. Just select the remaining columns which will be comparatively lower than the other columns, right? Those will be 100 or 200 users that email addresses are there in mentioned in there. You leave those columns and you select the columns. Like you have the option, see, if you can select these three and you go to transform, and in the unpivot column you can see that unpivot column or unpivot other columns. Okay, so instead of those, what we can select is we will select these three columns. These three columns are less for us to make the selection, the others will be 100 or 200, right? Then you go to unpivot and you unpivot other columns. Similarly, let's now remove this extra column and keep. There you go. So unpivot column or unpivot other column, you understand how you use it based on the selection that you would have to make, and that's why you move that column that you have to unpivot and you separate it, split it through the delimiter towards the end, the last value. Okay, so this is it. This is what I wanted to show, that Excel has the Visual Basic application feature which can be used, right? And after making the file identical, you can have the basic match can be done, and if the size is more, then you can use the Power Query tool to make the connection to the first file and then do the matching to the second file. Then again, if the file comes in, it is not in the format that you want, there is in the single cell, there are a lot of email addresses mentioned which are separated by delimiter, comma, or any other character. You can split it horizontally using the basic option from the text to column, or you can use the Power Query tool option, the advanced option, and then do the split the column and transform unpivot column. Okay, so some basic Excel, but I thought can help people. That is it. Thank you. Have a good day.